Monday, 8 days in the month of November 2021. Time check is 0600 GMT. We're live all across the world on TV and online from digital address GA2260733. We also live on digital channel 37 and 38. Good to come to your homes with another edition of AM News on Adoatv Television. My name is Nanya Macaulay, and our top stories this morning: the Lord Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Accra, Right Reverend Dr. Sylvanus Mensah Torto, has inaugurated the Board of Management for the Adoatv Plantation. Also coming up, we'll take you to Parliament, where we have some unfolding activities over the weekend. You might want to stay with us because details of these and many others comes up in a jiffy. Please be my guest. Hello again. Let's settle for the details now. The Lord Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Accra, Right Reverend Dr. Daniel Sylvanus Mensah Torto, has inaugurated the Board of Directors for the Adoatv Estate Limited to see the management and implementation of the rubber plantation and its objectives set up by the diocese. The inaugurational ceremony was held at the Bishop's Court here in Accra.
Adoatv Estates Limited is a business venture by the Anglican Diocese of Accra, which seeks to sustainably retain the church and also to provide some economic revenue to the state. At the inaugural ceremony held at the Bishop's Court here in Accra today, the Lord Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Accra, Right Reverend Daniel Sylvanus Mensah Torto, shed light on the inception of the rubber estate, and a moment of silence was observed in honor of the late Paul Ni Ado Ankra, whose idea gave birth to Adoatv Estates.
I welcome you to the inauguration of the Adoatv Estates Limited Board. This idea of rubber plantation by the diocese was motored by our late brother and father, Mr. Paul Ankra. He came to me, having sent a document through the registrar to me to study. That's where we started this whole journey at rubber plantation. What was very, very small to us, today, here we are with a board. So before we proceed, I'd like you to stand and commit his soul into the hands of God. May he rest in peace. Very, very unfortunate that when we have got this stage, he has been called to rest. And God knows best. He knows why at this time when things would happen, then he has taken him out of our midst. By all things, that St. Paul says we should give thanks to God in all things. And when he died, then some of the things started unfolding. So I said to myself, is that Isaiah episode coming into our life? So when King Uzziah died, then I saw the Lord. Thank God for the gift of today, where we, as I said, since 2017, we started this project, putting our heads together. It went to Synod 2018, and Synod gave the nod and charged the bishop to make sure that he puts it into fruition. And we have not slept over it. We've gone through a whole lot, and today here we are to inaugurate the board. On that note, I'll ask all to stand as we formally inaugurate the board. Daniel Sylvanus Mensah Torto, by Divine Bishop of Accra, do hereby inaugurate the Adoatv Estate Limited, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Members of the board took oaths of allegiance and secrecy after the chairman had taken his oath.
In the name of the Almighty, solemnly affirm
that
I will at all times
I will at all times
well and truly serve
well and truly serve
the Anglican Diocese of Accra
the Anglican Diocese of Accra
in the office of a chairman
in the office of a chairman
of the Adwa Rubber Estate Limited,
of the Adwa Rubber Estates Limited,
that I will uphold,
that I will uphold,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Adwa Rubber Estate Limited
and defend the Adwa Rubber Estates Limited
as by law established.
as by law established.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Please, can sit. I will uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the Adwa Rubber Estate Limited as by law established. So help me God.
The board chairman, Mr. Kwesi Kobu, who spoke to Adoatv, shed light on the rubber estate, giving insight on prospects the venture may provide.
First, let me, with some bit of sadness, recognize the role Uncle Paul Ankra, who fortunately demised beginning of the year, the role he played, but he spearheaded this whole thing. You know, it takes time to develop projects of such magnitude, you know. So like rightly said, Synod approved 2018, 2019 started working, of course, COVID, we were caught with the COVID pandemic in 2020, and of course everything came to a standstill. We are sort of out of COVID, not out fully, but we are still feeling the impacts of COVID. And with COVID, it means that everything shut down, offices are not working. I mean, you know, so things slow down considerably. It's had an impact in every facet of our lives. But today, we've reached a stage where now we've put in, the structures are being put in place. So now there's a functional board, there's a functional management. That is critical. You can't go to the markets to borrow when you don't have these systems in place. So what we have to do, and the role as a chair of the board, is to help develop these systems so we can manage to now finance our funding sources so that we can have funding to be able to start planting. That is the critical thing. And that's what we want to do. And so we're grateful to God that, yes, it's taking a while, but some of it is exogenous factors. But the point is that today, we are here today, we're ready. We have some of our board members, and we are doing this out of the love of our church and also for the wider good of the community, and also in doing God's work, you know. And that's why we've all agreed to serve on the board to make sure this project is a reality. The rubber sector has evolved over the years, and rubber is becoming a major export item from this country. Fortunately, over the last few years, we've seen a new entrants come in terms of processing, and we're hoping that more will come in. We're also seeing increase in production by individuals, not necessarily agriculturists, who are acquiring lands and grain rubber. So it's an export commodity, which means that generates foreign exchange coming here. That those who are producing also have their purchases indexed to foreign exchange, which means that they don't suffer any foreign exchange. So it makes economic sense, it makes financial sense to grow rubber. So it's an area that we believe that it's a safe area for the church, and it will generate the necessary revenue that the church requires to carry out its mandate. You know, so fortunately, there's also the regulatory environment. Also, there's a new tree crop development authority which is supposed to regulate a number of tree crops, including rubber, which means that also some of the key risks associated with rubber is being mitigated through the TCDA. So I think this is fortuitous that the church is going in at this time. So we are leveraging on the rubber environment now to also meet our objectives, but also generate funding to also impact on what we do.
Let's move away from the diocese and go to Parliament, because the minority, through its ranking member on finance, Honorable Atuforson, has summoned the minister responsible for finance to appear before Parliament on the utilization of 827.6 million Ghana cedis of the petroleum revenue. The minister's sermons follows the Finance Committee's report on the annual report of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee on the Management of Petroleum Revenues for the year 2020, which was presented by the Finance Committee Chairman Honorable Kweku Kwating on the floor of Parliament.
How the balances on the ABFA was used, Mr. Speaker, has been captured under paragraphs 5.3 and 5.4. I plead with the Hansa Department to capture the entire report since I have highlighted the highlights. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the committee carefully considered the reference and recommends to this House to adopt its report on the, of PIAC on the management of petroleum revenues for the year 2020 and the report of the same committee on the first half of the year 2020. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Speaker.
One thing that strikes me out of this report is the fact that, Mr. Speaker, the Ghana National Petroleum Company, GNPC, has lended an amount of $549.3 million to government. $549.3 million. Mr. Speaker, you can find this in page 10 of the report. Mr. Speaker, as if we are turning the GNPC into a quasi-fiscal agency. Mr. Speaker, that is not right. To the extent that government of Ghana is collecting a quantum amount of $549 million from the National Oil Company, Mr. Speaker, this is not good enough. This amount, Mr. Speaker, if we allow the National Oil Company to invest this amount, they will be able to turn around properly, than to give the money to them and turn around and then collect this money. Mr. Speaker, it also surprise you that the GMPC, out of the 666 million that we received in revenue, government of Ghana actually gave GMPC almost $200 million, which is 198 million. The Speaker, this amount is close to the amount that went into the budget, $273.3 million. So we should pay attention to the amount going to GMPC, not only what is going into the budget, the petroleum revenue going to the budget. GMPC is receiving so much of our oil revenue, yet the scrutiny going to GMPC, Mr. Speaker, is woefully inadequate. I urge that this House get interest in the way GMPC spend their money. $200 million. Oftentimes, government gives them the money, and the same government turns around and instructs GMPC to use the money for something else. The Speaker, that is quasi-fiscal financing, and it should not be allowed. The Speaker, again, PIAC had said that government of Ghana, they disagree with the Ministry of Finance in particular, in the way they have treated an amount of 827 million being ABFA amount. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we state this for the record. Mr. Speaker, the report says that the Ministry of Finance indeed explained how this amount was used. But PIAC vehemently disagrees with the Ministry of Finance. They believe the amount is still missing. The words of PIAC, Mr. Speaker, this is not my words. These are the words of PIAC, and it's in their report, that an amount of 827 million Ghana cedis is still missing at the Ministry of Finance. And so, therefore, Ministry of Finance should account for it properly. The Speaker, at the committee meeting, the Ministry of Finance provided us some answers. The Speaker, I am not satisfied with that answers. And I agree with PIAC that the Ministry of Finance must come properly in accounting for the 827 million Ghana cedis. The Speaker, it's not taking money. It's not taking money. 827 million Ghana cedis. It's not taking money. It's big, in fact, fat. And this amount cannot be missing in our fiscal reporting. The Speaker, I urge the Ministry of Finance that in as much as they have provided the Finance Committee with some information, that information, it is not satisfactory to me. It is not satisfactory to the Public Interest and Accountability Committee of Government. The Speaker, and for that matter, we in this House should summon the minister responsible for finance to appear before us to explain to us how that amount is accounted for. The Speaker, 827 million Ghana cedis. The Speaker, that is so much.
Let's move away and do some other related stories because the Minister for National Security, Albert Kendapa, has disclosed that 432 regional, divisional, and district police stations out of the 900 police stations are being provided with CCTV cameras, and the rollout program ongoing and is expected to end before the close of the year. This revelation follows a question which was posed to him by the MP for Wild West, seeking to know the state of project which sees of the fixing of the CCTV cameras in all police stations across the country.
The government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Communications and Huawei Technologies Company Limited, signed a contract as far back as 2012 for the establishment of the first phase of the Integrated National Security Communications Enhancement Project, the Alpha Project Phase 1, which sought to install a network of CCTV cameras and cellular technologies to enhance the operational efficiencies and cellular efficiencies of the security and intelligence agencies of the country. Mr. Speaker, that phase of the project delivered about 800 CCTV cameras in Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, and some critical border areas like Aflao, Elubo, and Paga. Also, other critical national installations and some major towns across the country were covered. It also delivered a national command center and other operations centers for emergency response and command and control for law enforcement, security, and intelligence, and also for emergency response agencies. Mr. Speaker, that project was successful, largely successful, enhancing the communications of the various agencies and also assisting to detect crime, road infractions, supporting major public events, providing evidence to support investigations and prosecution of many cases where some details were captured by the CCTV network.
The second phase of the project, which commenced in January 2020, saw the installation of 10,000 more cameras despite challenges that occurred due to COVID-19. To date, he noted that 6,500 cameras have been completed, with a little over 4,000 cameras powered and online.
Mr. Speaker, the government of Ghana, again through the Ministry of National Security and Huawei Technologies and China Machinery Engineering Corporation, in December 2018, again signed a contract for the implementation of the second phase of the project, which sought to further enhance the capabilities of the system, and specifically by installing 10,000 more cameras and extending its cellular capabilities to every district across the country. This phase, Mr. Speaker, commenced in January 2020 and was initially scheduled to be completed in 18 months. However, due to logistical challenges introduced by the COVID-19 pandemic, project completion is now slated for December 2021. Mr. Speaker, to date, installation works of about 6,500 cameras have been completed, with a little over 4,000 cameras powered and online, mainly in Accra, in Kumasi, and other regional capitals. Mr. Speaker, this has aided considerably to the achievement of many successes in detecting many infractions and criminal activities, including helping us to solve recent violent crimes such as armed robbery and kidnappings.
Again, the Phase 2 project is also expected to provide 432 regional, divisional, and district police stations out of the 900 police stations with CCTV coverage, a rollout ongoing and expected to complete before the close of the year.
Mr. Speaker, as part of this project, His Excellency the Vice President Dr. Mohamed Bawumia in February 2018 announced plans by government to fix CCTV cameras in all police stations across the country, a plan that is integral to the rollout of this phase of the project. Currently, Mr. Speaker, the police have some 900 police stations in total operational areas across the country. And this Phase 2 project is providing CCTV coverage for all 432 regional, divisional, and district police stations out of the 900 to enable monitoring of these installations. And the remaining stations, Mr. Speaker, would be covered in subsequent phases of the project. The rollout is currently ongoing, and if I can repeat, all 432 stations will be completed before close of the year.
However, Mr. Dapa lamented that Ghana is currently doing less than the one camera for every 1,000 citizens policy. Hence, the nation needs to make the relevant investment in the sector to enhance our security.
Mr. Speaker, even as brisk efforts are being made to complete the existing phase, the relevant planning works are also being carried out to pursue additional phase deployments of cameras to cover the outstanding.
Speaking in that report is National Security Minister Honorable Albert Kiendapa. That was a report by our parliamentary correspondent Mary Kote. Let's move away from Parliament and go to the northern region because the people of Kukuo, a suburb of Tamale, claim they are living in fear to save cholera outbreak for sanitation solutions. Residents speaking to our northern regional correspondent Ibrahim Nuruddin claim garbage cans provided by the municipal assembly has been full to beam, and for several months no collection, and the only toilet facility in the area has been abandoned for close to 4 years. Others are even of the belief that the toilet facility are now being abandoned.
A public toilet facility in Kukuo, a suburb of Tamale, is seriously posing danger to the residents of the area, especially those living close to the facility. The situation is hampering sanitation and now has encouraged open defecation since the facility is uninhabitable. Garbage containers situated not too far from the facility have not been emptied for several months, causing unbearable stench as a result of indiscriminate dumping of refuse. Henry Adomako, a resident speaking to Adoatv, said the situation is breeding cholera, malaria, and other sanitation-related diseases. He therefore called on political heads in the northern region to come to their aid.
Citizen of Kukuo electoral area. Problem I want to say it may cause a lot of yare, malaria. Now, secondly, so no cholera and so on. It me my cholera. Inti na yesu ye fear ebimben ho bebre inti the ebe can say yes honorable Sule Salfo, the mayor of Tamale say umbra on your behalf said ebe ya obetuma boy because baby I want a dangerous pa unwura ni niama bebre even toilet no cry cock condemn a untimi wura toilet no so nti ye pomacho aban one a wati aban mu mpanyifo original minister mayor mu nyina mumbra on our age said ebe ya mo betuma boa na secondly so no transformer so says you are and also yet another problem nti we dey ye besre mo say mumbra said ebe ya mo betuma boa buda mumbubungu na munsi fufuro emfama ye said ebe ya ye betina wa asundwe mu aboni bi anka.
Jamil, an agitated resident speaking to the news team, threatened to demolish the facility if authorities do not act fast.
Dear, yes, not when anti bibia, you better say toilet no. Yeah, yeah, ma or buy Anna MC minister or Omunina Omuntia. Yeah, me asama me woman say on boy so on this one man boy ampe a solution I may yina and there your man it say 1 month ye be bubu because high ankora ama ankora almost say jeans and idea but almost toilet almost by ankora yare ankora bet say mensa nyina obiti omu nyina omu yare.
Another resident speaking to the news team also claimed the facility is haunted, hence the emergence of strange diseases.
So the writing printer will prevent him. So suspect that maybe there are demons and other things inside because there's no light and it has been abandoned for long. Sometimes you even see these rats, cats, and so many other things coming from the manholes outside. So actually, it's a problem. Tramos, what you say is that they should, what do I say? They should look into it and try to find means and ways of helping us. Other than giving time. But at the point of time when, as my colleague mentioned, we'll find a solution to it. Yeah.
This is how we wrap up on the Monday edition on AM News on Adwa Television. We'll bring you updates of these stories and many others in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, you can visit our website www.adwanewsonline.com for more news. My name is Nanya McCollison. Please, as always, stay safe. Good morning.